This is Money Peak Trading, and today we're going to talk about TG Therapeutics, TGTX. It has the FDA approval decision on February 16, 2021, and how do we make 300 to 1,000% on this trade? So yes, very exciting. It's a stock that actually kicked myself that I didn't hold in 2016 when it was $7. I moved the fund to other investment, and now this stock is actually trading at $49, about 700%. So we're going to talk about the stock, but before that, we're going to talk about the highlight of the biotech plays that we have in January 2021. The two major plays we had is J&J, and which give us a 215% return, which is pretty nice. Total in myself, I have 4 or 5 contracts, hold it over earning, make about 215%, which is pretty nice. But the J&J COVID vaccine came out, clinical trial results, not as good as Moderna and Pfizer, so they actually pulled back. So our long-term investment J&J is about break even right now. And our rolled over call options right now is actually losing money. And we actually stop loss. I think I lost about 10%, 20%, something like that. The other play we have the Arena Pharmaceuticals that we made a YouTube video about it is AUPH. Our 18 calls and stocks made about 18 calls option made about 51%. 25 calls will actually stop out at entry. AUPH stocks about 19%. For the option play for myself, since I buy 3-to-1 call and put options, so I actually break even on my option plays. The stock actually had a really nice return, about 19% so far, and plan to hold it long term. If you have any question or want to see more details, feel free to check that video. So actually in February, our biotech play will be quite busy. Listed the most important events that, at least in our opinion, that will push the stock price the most is ADMS. It's on February 1st, 2021, and TGTX, which is the target in this video, February 15th. And there's another name, CRMD, on February 28th. 2021. Also, there are 2 other events for GTHX and ATNX that I don't think is going to move out the price that much. But yeah, we shall see, and I'll do more research. And also in March, May, and June, there will be more FDA approval decision coming up for a lot of biotech names. So feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll provide more details down the road. And the second half of 2021 also have a lot of exciting events. Like Moderna have cancer vaccine, clinical trial result coming out, and also a lot of FDA approval decisions. Just FDA hasn't announced a lot of detailed calendars yet, so that's why I haven't included them. So I think this TG Therapeutics or TGTX does look like a future vertex, VRTX. This is the vertex chart. They were IPO back to 1991. They had a really nice run. They launched their HCV in 2011. Their HCV drug, which was a competitor of Gledia, and this is their HCV period that they were fighting with HCV, and eventually realized this is not really a good market, and they actually started to move on to their current cystic fibrotic approach. Now they are the king of that therapeutic area. You can see the price, the stock price paid off. Starting around 2012-13, they started to move on to this CCL fibrosis, and their stock price moved on around $100 to $300. I do feel like this TGTX is as aggressive and ambitious as Vertex. And I think TGTX is going to excel in the B-cell therapeutics area that they're going to target on, which we're going to provide more details. And right now, TGTX is around $40 a share. I know the share numbers are different compared to Vertex back to 2011, but I do think in the long run, if TGTX can execute well enough, I do think TGTX does have the great opportunity to go up from here. So a little bit about TGTX. It's founded in 2012, based in New York. So it's a relatively new company. They focus on B-cell disease. Just get it from Wikipedia in case you don't know what B-cells is. It's basically a white blood cell that create your immunity response by producing antibodies. So just wanted to highlight the therapeutic areas of TGTX. So basically focus on cancer and autoimmune diseases that are B cells related. So the first one, they're focused on chronic lymphocytic leukemia. This is a CLL. Some subscribers are from Asia, so they actually want me to put some disease name. And since I speak both Chinese and Japanese, I feel like it makes sense to put the disease name, so potentially help them to understand the YouTube video better. So this CLL, abbreviated as CLL, is a cancer or the leukemia. There are some therapeutics right now. For chemo, there are actually quite a lot of options because of the space. I didn't list all of them. There are about 8 to 10 options. And of course, there are radiology and stem cells transplant options. The second therapeutic area they are focusing on is marginal zone lymphoma, MZL. It's also a type of cancer, but this one's a lymphoma. I list the existing therapeutic here, radiology, and also monoclonal antibodies, 2 options here, and also chemo. And there are also target therapy and stem cell transplant possible therapeutic as well. The other one is called follicular lymphoma. It's also a lymphoma cancer. There are 3 types of treatment here as well. The other one is not cancer as well. Multiple sclerosis, called abbreviated as MS. As an autoimmune disease that actually attack your brain and your nerve system. It's not lethal, but it will disable you. Like you will have problems with your vision, your muscle strength, and everything. It's a chronic disease that can totally make your life very, very uncomfortable, and you might not be able to work again. Currently, there's no cure. There's some progressive modification treatment called this OCR. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that drug. But yeah, this is a high-level B cells therapeutics at TGTX targets. So 2021, 2022 are big years for TGPX. Their pipeline and strategies are a little bit complicated, so bear with me. And if you get lost, feel free to ask questions. I try to make it as comprehensive and as easily digestible as possible. But basically, what they're focused on is you can just look at the first 2 drugs. This is getting from their company presentation. They actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drugs in the clinical trials. But the one we're going to talk about just TG1202 and TG1101. And both have good phase 3 clinical trials results already. And the FDA decision day for TG1202 for MZL is on February 15, 2021, which is what we're talking about today. And they also have a regular review for the same drug, TG1202, for another disease, FL, which we mentioned in the previous slide, on June 15, 2021. So I really like their approach is each of their drug can target these 4 different diseases that we mentioned in the previous slides. And they actually also have a clinical trial which combine this TG1202 and TG1101. They actually try to focus on this biologics filing and NDA filing for CLL and NHL on the first half of the 2021, and possibly we'll get a FDA decision in 2022. So yeah, very exciting. And each drug again will target multiple diseases, since each drug focuses on B cells, and those B cells are the fundamental issues or targets for those diseases. So that's why they can reuse those drugs. And if each drug shows safety profiles that potentially can and get one FDA approval for one disease, that potentially can make that one particular drug being approved much easier to other diseases and have multiple usages and expand the revenue for this particular company, TGTX. But that's also why their pipeline is a little bit complicated. As you can see, they actually have a lot of clinical trials ongoing, and most of them are actually TG1101 and TG1201, or the combination of them for different type of diseases. Again, so basically we're looking at this 2, which is the first 2 clinical trial results that are going to have FDA approval on February 15 and June 15 this year. They also have this MS drug, which is using their, I think it's TG1101. that showed good phase 3 clinical trials in December last year and bound make the price almost double. So I think this MS usage for TG1101 sooner or later will send out for FDA decision and should get a result in 2022. So 2021 and 2022 really have a lot of catalysts for TGTX. So let's talk about this first drug, TG1201, 1202. So this is from the company slides. Since their approval is coming February 15 and June this year, the company actually provides some very early guidance about how big the MZL and FL, which is the TG1202, try to get FDA approval this year. They actually highlight like for each level how many patients they have and potentially for this drug, which is about 7,000 and 3,500. So which is a decent size of the patient numbers. And also, just to high level overview, basically what this TG1202 does is overcome the certain tolerability issues compared to the first generation of PI3K delta inhibitors, which are the current chemotherapy drugs that has some tolerability issues for some patients. And this TG1202 looks very, very promising in the phase 3 clinical trials. And again, the prior review for MZL, this lymphoma, this cancer, is on February 15th. And also there's another regular FDA review for FL, which is also a lymphoma, on June 15, 2021. So look promising, has a good potential in the market, even though they're competitors, but their tolerability shows are better results. So potentially, I think the market does think it will get FDA, high chance of get FDA approval, which I also think that's the case. The other drug I want to highlight is TG1101. It actually showed good phase 3 clinical trial results back to December 7, 2020 in this multiple sclerosis, MS symptom. So just in case you forget about MS, is an autoimmune disease that actually attacks our brain and nerve system, which doesn't really have a very effective cure right now. So again, on December 7, this TG1101 showed good phase 3 clinical trial results and pumped the stock from $20 all the way to all-time high, which is $56, which is 100%. The market is really thrilled with these results. And now the price pulled back, which is a good chance for us to add more. So we actually shouted out on December 10 to day trade TGTX. December 18, 40 calls in our day trading service. Eventually, we close this option contract at $3.6 per contract from on average $1.1 per contract. We take out half at 100%. I think on the same day we hold it for. No, we actually take it out the same day too early at 230%. So if we hold it for a few more days or 2 more days, we probably will get a 500-600%. But just in case our Discord member forgot about this trade. This TG1101 really had really good clinical results, and the company actually showed us like how big the market is. So there are about 2.3 million cases in the United States, and they're estimating that there are about $30 billion of the market by 2025. And currently, this OCRE drug, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, has more than $2 billion in 2018 and achieved $4 billion in 2019. And since this drug that they're developing, TG1101, could be a cocktail therapy of this OCR, based on their early guidance, it's a multi-billion-dollar drug as well. And also, the other thing I want to highlight is this, I mentioned it briefly, is TG1101 and TG1202 together as a combined therapy. They want to focus on this CLL, which is also a cancer, and it has a really big market. So just in case you forgot about CLL, I know there's a lot of disease name here. It's called chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So it's a leukemia is a type of cancer, and they actually showed us how big the market is. There are about 115,000 Americans living with CLL, and each year has about 20,000 newly diagnosed patients, which is very unfortunate. and about 20,000 previously treated patients seeking for treatment each year. So the relapse is very high. And based on their clinical results so far, it seems like they are able to make the relapse very, very low, so which is very nice. And their estimated global sale for this drug is $10 billion. And since their combination therapy shows excellent clinical trial results, I do think potentially, of course, we haven't gotten any pricing details, but potentially they are going to have a good penetration of this $10 billion plus of market. So all the good things that we mentioned, what are the risks of TGTX if we would like to invest today? So first, TG1201 might not get FDA approved. Again, if any FDA approval decision contains some risks, right? Because we just don't know we don't have all the data that FDA sees. So there's definitely a risk. If TG1201 is not approved by FDA on February 15, 2021, in my humble opinion, TGTX could pull back to about $30 to $40 level. And also, TG1201 FDA decision could also very well be delayed as well. If it is delayed, it might pull back the price in the short term. That might affect the option traders. For long-term investment stockholders, might not affect that much. Might provide you a better chance to load more in the lower price. The other problem is assuming this TG1201 FDA got approved, but might not be including the FDA Orange Book, which is a small chance, but unlikely. If it is a highly effective drug, safer and better than the previous drugs, we don't see any reason why FDA doesn't include in the Orange Book, which is a recommended book drug for different type of disease. If it is included, it will highly boost their sale. And not to mention, since TGTX has several clinical trials in the pipeline, we cannot rule out the cases. It could have early termination on a clinical trial. The same thing actually happened to Vertex, and that's why Vertex happened. Vertex has really promising protein drug, and the drop off from the clinical trials without any explanation, and the price dipped like 20% or something. So yeah, that's definitely a risk if you are investing in any biotech stock. The other thing about TGTX is the same thing with Arena Pharmaceuticals, AUPH. They are early research type of biotech companies, don't have any drugs in the market right now. So they don't really provide any details about the commercial plannings, whether they will have partnerships, what about their pricing. Right now, we just don't know the details. So this is a risk after the TGTX FDA approval. They should have a conference call like Arena Pharmaceuticals, and then we'll learn more about partnerships, pricing, etc. The other concern I have for TGTX is they don't really have enough cash. Right now, they have $254 million of cash versus about $40 million dollars of debts. The cash is probably only good for the company to operate until the end of 2021. So I do highly expect that TGTX is going to raise some cash, probably by stock offering or warrants or bonds or whatsoever, or some royalties or partnership whatsoever, or commercial license agreement, blah, blah, blah. So just for some context, actually on May 2020th, TGTX did raise $153 million from 8.5 million worth of shares at $18 per share. If I recall correctly, their outstanding shares about 100 million shares or something like that. So if they do raise like $10 million of share, and add, I don't know, $30-$40, which will give them like about 300-400 millions worth of cash, good enough for them for another 1 or 2 year of operation. I fully expect that will happen, but that's not really a lot of dilution, probably only 10, 15, 20% of their current outstanding shares. But if you're an option trader, that's something you have to be aware of, because every pullback, the percentage of your return will affect a way bigger percentage of return compared to you just holding stocks. Not to mention that there are competitors, since those are cancer therapeutics. They're definitely competitors, potentially can provide better drugs and affect TGTX target value. And one thing I really like about Vertex, for their at the beginning of this about 2013, 2014, is about their CCL fibrosis approach. There was no competitor at all. They are the first one to launch drugs, and very effective drugs on that therapeutic area. But now, however, on TGTX, I think all these therapeutics areas that they're focusing on are kind of crowded with existing therapeutics, even though their drug does show superiority in some extents. But yeah, it's definitely a more crowded market compared to Vertex. So I know at the beginning I compared this stock with Vertex, but that's one thing you have to be aware of. So let's take a look at TGTX price targets. Currently average at $68 is pulling from the Wall Street Journal. And also here's some highlight of the each Wall Street analyst target from marketbeat.com. This HCW, which also cover Arena Pharmaceuticals, their impact is low because I think there are less well-known investment banks. But currently they are pretty actively pursuing those small biotech companies. So that's why I really like them providing some guidance. Like AUPH, they're one of the two investment bankings that are providing guidance or price target on AUPH. So they actually just raised the price target from $61 to $78. The other one is a pretty small one too. They actually raised it before the TG 1102 good clinical results. They raised it to 48. So I think after FDA approval, they are probably going to raise it price target as well. JP Morgan actually raised it September 2020th last year at $38. And their impact is high since they're a very well-known big player in the market. But again, they actually just initiated the coverage. They haven't updated their numbers after the good TG 1101 and the potentially TG 1201 FDA approval. So I think definitely will be eye on the JP Morgan and also Jeffrey, which is also a pretty big one. Jeffrey haven't provided any update price targets since February 2019, which is totally outdated number in my opinion. So yeah, we might see some big price target adjustment after FDA approval. So if you're holding options, the price is on your favor, you might want to hold it a few more days. Wait until JP Morgan Jeffries upgrade the stock. Of course, there are some other like Everscore. They currently price tag at $60, and there are some other two investment banking. They haven't upgraded their target since 2018. Also expecting that after FDA approval, they may or may not, most likely will, raise their price target. So how do we play this trade? So currently, MoneyPick Trading has a 61 price target, which is kind of conservative compared to like the previous slide. Some investment banks providing $78 target. I just don't want to be too optimistic since we don't really have a lot of details fundamentally to decide what is the reasonable target for this pharmaceutical company. So in case we really hit $61 on February 15 that week, 2021, how can we play that? So it's a little tricky because we only have February 19 option contracts and then March 19 and May 21st for 2021. And we know for TG 1201, we also have a June catalyst, which have a FDA approval for another disease that potentially can expand TGTX target and bring more revenue upon approval. But your next contract is only August. So one way I'm thinking about is to buy some February 19, 2021 contracts. Once approved, price go up. Hopefully the option clearing house will start to open the June or July option contract. Then we'll start adding to it. And for February 19 right now, I personally loading on $55 before this pullback, the whole market pullback basically. But now since the price target pullback, potentially you can buy some 50 or 49, which is almost in the money. I do expect now it's 2 weeks before February 15, 2021. The price will probably start to go out with more open interest in the call options. We can see some hedge, but most of the interests are on the call side. So I think the market, especially option traders, are expecting this drug to be approved and potentially elevate the price. So in that case, yeah, you can try to load some, but of course, make sure to hedge. There's always risks. for this drug not being approved again. So how to play again? So just to highlight, you can just simply buy TGTX stocks, which I plan to do so on Monday when the market open, if the market doesn't collapse. By holding EMA support, make sure the correction stop. I will probably try to load up the entry price around $48. Again, kicking myself, giving up the stock when it was at $7, up 600% by now. And assuming on the approval week, February 15, the price reached to $61, it will be $27. Next year, February 19, 2022, because again, there's no any details about the fundamental numbers, so I just shoot a $100 price target. Since there are so many catalysts, assuming we hit $100 in 1 or 2 years, your stock price will go up by about 100%. The other one, TGTX, again, to buy the February 1955 calls. Our entry price is about $1.80. If we really hit 61 on February 9, by February 19th, this option contract should be about $6 or $7. So it's about 300% return. The other one to play around this stock is buy some longer dated vertical cobalt spread. I don't recommend August 2021 because their entry price is about the same as this January 20th, 2023. The price I put varies because there's too many combination. You can do like 50 to 80 cold spread. You can do 50 to 55, etc. So the max profits and the entry price will be totally different. But generally speaking, if it hit $61 on February 19 this year, any of this vertical cold spread in 2023 will give you 30%. If it hit $100, that should give you, in 1 or 2 years, it should give you about 150 to 250% of a return. The other reason I want to mention is about January 20, 2023. Vertical cobalt spread, because you can hold this contract for over a year, and that potentially can make a long-term capital gain as well. I think the easiest way is to buy February 1955 calls this year and hold some of the stocks. Like I mentioned, if it's compared to vertex, if they are really successful on all this B cells therapeutics, which looks very promising on all this pipeline, I do see this potential. This TGTS potentially can go up to like $200 to $300 in probably 10 years. Of course, it will be a bumpy ride as any of the biotech stock. Any clinical trials not good, they're going to pull back 20%. But I do think this company has a good management. They're very ambitious. Their clinical trial results are mostly positive right now. I do see there could be another vertex push up 1,000% in 10 years. So in 10 years, if it happened to vertex, you are probably looking at this stock at about $300-$400. That will make about 1,000%. But that's a very, very ambitious and very uncertain approach, which I don't want to promise at this time. That's why in this slide I only provide this number. I know on the cover slide I mentioned 1,000% to attract viewers, but again, I want to highlight that is a very long-term uncertain target. Again, if TGTX, this TG1201 is not approved on February 15, 2021, it might drop back to $30 to $40. It won't go back to zero because we know this TG1101 is still very promising on this MC's disease. And also TGTX, this TG1201, depends on the rejection reason, might not be good for this current disease. But don't forget on June, they still have another FDA decision. But again, depends on why FDA rejected it. If it is due to the safety reason, then yeah, we'll see more dip because if that's the case, the June decision will probably become a rejection as well. But if it's just because this drug is not outperformed the other competitor for that February decision therapeutic target, but the June one still has some hope, I don't think it's going to dip that much. But anyhow, make sure to buy put options to hedge your positions since there's always a risk for these binary events. Again, we are not registered financial advisors or registered medical professionals, even though I personally graduated from a very well-known college of pharmacy in the United States. and have done a lot of good research. But still, I'm not a registered medical professional, so this is not a video for any medical advices as well. If you like our content, don't forget to like our video and subscribe us on moneypigtrading.com. And follow us YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram on MoneyPig Trading. And if you like interest in our Discord service, feel free to check us on www.moneypigtrading.com. And thank you for watching and happy trading. I'll see you next time.